Hi everybody.
Shalom everybody.
Parashat Bo El Paro. The parasha starts with the last 3 plagues that God brings upon the Egyptians. God releases the people of Israel out of Egypt. We have the story of Exodus, and we talk about Passover. One of the mitzvot that is mentioned over there is not to eat chametz in Pesach. Another big mitzvah that we talk about over there is to tell the story of going out of Egypt with the amazing miracles that happened over there to our children. Now the parsha starts with the word bo. The word bo in Hebrew means come. But why does the parsha is called bo and not lech? Lech in Hebrew means go. It actually says bo el paro, come to Paro, and not go to Paro. God is telling Moshe to come to Paro. Moshe sees on the spiritual level all the bad spirits of Egypt when he comes, and he's afraid. Because he sees a big angel, big dark angel of Egypt that has a head of an alligator. That's what the Zohar says. And the Egyptians believed that these spirits, these evil spirits, were their gods when they were not really gods. They were just angels from the side of impurity. Now God calls Moshe to come to the upper world and to be with him and to beat the bad side. When a person goes with God, he's always protected.
The 3 makot that we have, the 3 plagues that we have in this parasha, are the 3 upper sfirot in the tree of life. As we talked about it last week, the plagues in Egypt are 10 against 10. So we're talking about the tree of life, and that those plagues had to come. They were essential to break all the negativity that went to upper worlds and to our world. And those 3 plagues that we have in this week are parallel to the head. They are the upper sfirot, and the 7 that we had last week were parallel to our body and the lower sfirot. Now, those plagues in Hebrew they're called makot. Makot is like to hit, and they're meant to break something, to break a shell. Negativity in our world is like a shell that is preventing the light from shining. And the 10 plagues are actually coming against a 10 ma'amarot, 10 ma'amarot. There are exactly 10 places in the book of Bereshit, Genesis, that says Vayomer Elohim. And those 10 ma'amarot, they are connected to the creation of the world, and they're hidden there. And in here, when they reveal and release from their negativity, and from the shells, klipot of the negativity, by those makot, by this heat, that happened in Egypt, that broke all the negativity all the way to the upper world. Later on, they could turn into the 10 commandments that were given to the Israelites in Mount Sinai. Now, as we understand, this week is all about clearing our thoughts and working in the seed level. Because anything that we do, we start with an idea, we start with a thought. And if the thought is negative, if the thought is filled with fears or not the right energy that we need in there, it will affect the outcome. So it's very important to think about what seeds we're planting. And if we start something and we feel that we didn't really think it through, when it didn't really, put the right energy there or the right seed, we have to do that. Because if you want to plant an apple tree, you have to make sure that you put the seed of an apple tree. Because if you took the seed of an orange tree and you put it there, it doesn't matter how much soil and water and love you'll give that plant, it will still grow into an orange tree and not into an apple tree. So this week gives us a special energy from Hashem to clear and cleanse our thoughts, to prepare a vessel for Passover, to expand our vessels to receive more light, and to have more clarity and control over the thoughts that are coming to our head, and even dark thoughts that are connected to us worshiping, idols and bad entities that we're not even aware of. as bad feelings, fears, money, and so on.
מכת הרבה. Locust. Plague of Locusts. ויאמר אדוני אל משה, נטה ידך על ארץ מצרים בארבה. ויעל על ארץ מצרים, ויאכל כל עשב הארץ, את כל אשר השאירה ברד. After the plague of hail, we have the plague of locusts. Huge clouds of locusts are coming from the east and eating everything in Egypt. You need to remember that the Egyptians were farmers, and everybody were starving now because the locusts ate everything. Pharaoh begs Moshe to release the plague, to stop it, and all the locusts are leaving to the sea.
So the Plague of Locusts is the Sfirat Bina, and Bina is like the warehouse, the storage of all the energy of the universe. This is where we bring from upper worlds the sustenance and everything that is like the power of nurturing in our world. It's like the feminine side of Hashem, like the motherly side of Hashem. Now, the mother is nurturing her children. In this plague, the other thing, it went the other way around. The mother, or the motherly part of Hashem, drew back out all her sustenance from Egypt. Instead of giving it, Hashem took it and took all their food away from them.
The next plague is darkness, חושך. ויאמר אדוני אל משה, נטה ידך על השמיים, ויהי חושך על הארץ מצרים. וימש חושך, וית משה את ידו על השמיים, ויהי חושך, אפלה בכל ארץ מצרים, 3 ימים, לא ראו איש את אחיו. Right after the plague of locusts, Pharaoh doesn't release the people of Israel. God brings the plague of darkness on Egypt for 3 days. Now, Midrash Tanchuma explained to us that this was not a regular darkness. This darkness was a spiritual darkness that came straight from hell, from a place that is called Tzalmavet. And in Tehillim we say, even though I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, this is the shadow of darkness. This is the thing that came. The straight opposite of light, the pure darkness is coming. Darkness was so thick, it was actually physical, because a person that was standing up or sitting down, when the darkness, the physical darkness came, he was frozen. He was not able to move. And when the darkness went away, everybody were able to move. This was really, really scary, because the darkness made everybody prisoners for 3 days. They wouldn't be able to drink, not be able to move, not be able to do anything. Terrible, terrible plague.
During the plague of darkness, there was also a release of angels that came and killed many people. All the people that were very, very negative, and there was no hope for them besides dying and releasing the soul and then maybe get some salvation, they all died during that plague. Now, the plague of darkness is also Sfirat Chokhmah. Sfirat Chokhmah is the masculine spiritual energy of Hashem, and the darkness took 3 days. It was all over Egypt, but it was not in the side of where the Israelites lived in the land of Goshen.
And we come to the last plague, Makat Bechorot, the death of the firstborn child. ויאמר משה, כה אמר אדוני, כחצות הלילה, אני יוצא בתוך מצרים, ומת כל בכור בארץ מצרים, מבכור פרעה היושב על כסאו, עד בכור השפחה, אשר אחר הרחיים, וכל בכור בהמה. והייתה צעקה גדולה בכל ארץ מצרים, אשר כמוהו לא נהייתה, וכמוהו לא תוסף. ולכל בני ישראל לא יחרץ כלב לשונו, למאיש ועד בהמה. למען תדעון, אשר יפלה אדוני בין מצרים ובין ישראל. Now, Paro threatens Moshe that if he comes to him once again, Paro will kill him. God tells Moshe that he will bring upon the Egyptians one last plague, and after this plague, the people of Israel will go free out of Egypt. The last plague will be the plague that the firstborn child will die. In Midrash Haggadah, all the firstborn child of Egypt know that this plague is coming, and they run to Pharaoh and tell him, listen, release the people of Israel right now. And Pharaoh says no. And then the firstborn children of Egypt are going into the markets and start to kill Egyptians and to kill even their parents at midnight. The firstborn children of Egypt, including the son of Pharaoh, is dying. Screaming coming everywhere in Egypt. You can feel death around. Pharaoh gets up and starts to kill all of his magicians that are in the palace. He goes out and tells Moshe that the people of Israel can go out of Egypt right now.
So the last plague is the Sfirat Keter. Keter is the highest sphere. It means crown. And this is really where the seed levels, where it all start from. And it happened also in the half of the night, when it says Chatzi Halayla, in the middle of the night. So the middle of the night is after 12. When it's 12 o'clock at night, midnight, right? From midnight and on, they say that at midnight, this is a time that Hashem goes into heaven and he talks to all the righteous people, elevated people that are in heaven. So there's a tradition that even King David used to do, to wake up at midnight and to study Torah. People today, they do it, they study Torah or they study Zohar, even to read a little, just a few psukim, just a few sentences. It gives you a lot of light and protection. And that's why there's some holidays in Judaism that you stay awake and study half of the night or all night long, because again, you want to connect to the level of heaven and bring it down to earth. Before Makat Bechorot, it was starting in a very, organized way that Hashem gave the exact directions to Moshe to what to do in order for the Jewish people, for the Israelites, not to get hurt. Because we need to know that once there is a release of negativity, there's permission to the angel of death to go and hurt. It doesn't matter, good, bad, young, old, it's all there. That's why there was a great need to protect the Israelites. So it starts with the instructions that Hashem tells Moshe that on the 10th of the month, the Hebrew month of Nisan, all the families would buy a lamb and would bind him to their house. And then they all at once, on the 14th of the month of Nisan, they would all slaughter him, those lambs. They would slaughter the lamb all on the 14th, on the time that is right before sundown. All of them together on the same time. Slaughter it, cook it. Before they cook it, they would take the blood and put it on the doorposts of all the houses. Wherever there's an entrance, put the blood there, and that would be the sign for the angel of death not to harm that house. And they would roast that lamb only on fire, no cooking, not in water, no nothing. Roast it on fire, and that would be the sacrifice. They would eat it, and they all went into their houses, of course, with the sign, and they were all protected, because then at midnight, the angel of death came to Egypt, and whatever house that didn't have that sign, the firstborns, they were all killed. Now we need to understand something. Egypt, we know, They were all working and controlling people by the power of dark thoughts and black magic. The firstborn is the child that has the most energy. And the Egyptians, not only because they were firstborns, they were the ones that they invest in to get the most, energy of spells and power. And they were controlling, if you can imagine, it's like, either a network that every firstborn has the power of its own, station. And once they were all knocked out, Egypt went off completely, a completely blackout. They were doomed, they were done. Now, another thing that happened here, sometimes you have to fight darkness with a little bit of its own medicine. What am I saying with that? The Egyptians had their biggest god was the god in the name of Ra. Ra was with the head of a ram and a body of a man. And he was also the god of rejuvenation. They were worshiping to stay young forever, to stay beautiful forever, only pleasuring in the pleasures of the body, not the soul. And in order to break all, of the powers of Egypt that controlled not just the Israelites, they controlled also so many other nations, they needed a very big action. So one of them was killing the firstborns. So there's, they cannot, there's no network anymore. Done. The internet is down completely, forever. Number two, taking those little lambs are like taking the power back from those, black angels, especially from their head, their god, their minister, Ra, binding it, and then all together slaughtering it on the same time that is on the, right before the night, on the 14th of Nisan, and destroying that energy forever. By taking those lambs, they took the energy from those dark angels, they binded them, and then they slaughtered them on the same night. And the little lambs, and taking those powers of negativity and destroying it completely. Today, we have a very powerful tool to protect our homes, and that's called the mezuzah. The mezuzah are those little boxes that have inside parchment that has parashot from the Torah that are, the parts of the Shema Israel. And we put it on our doorposts. When we go inside the house, it's always going to be on the right side. There's a special blessing for that when you are putting it on, and it has to be tilted. And those are the protectors of our homes. We put it outside of our homes, whether it's the main entrance or the back entrance. We put it on the doorposts of each room in the house beside the bathrooms. And there are rules for that. But those are powerful tools to protect our homes from any negativity that we don't want to enter our home. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.